Hello and welcome back to Marine for TCG. My name is Joe. Drink of the day is a warm cup of tea. First things first, this is going to be focused pretty much entirely on playability. We're not going to be talking about SPs, I'm not talking about mangas, I'm not talking about old sealed boxes. I covered that very briefly in my last video. TLDR, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of what's going on. It has made me some money because I've been a collector for a while, as I'm sure you can appreciate if you're a fan of the channel. But yeah, I'm not in tune with that group of people. This video is going to be talking about cards that I think are good buys, I think are bad buys, and things that are generally meta relevant as we approach OP14, which is releasing very soon. There will be some discussion about OP14 as well towards the start. So first off, I want to talk about Roger, because this is the hot new card. It came out starting in January. Your LGSs are able to give these out. And I believe this promotion is only for January. So if you can get these for free from your LGS, that's obviously the best route. But depending on how big your local scene is, you may not be able to get a playset of these for free. So I would communicate with your LGS, ask them how many packs did you get sent? Are they willing to share that? Do they know how long they're going to have these to give out at locals? Is it just January? Are they likely to run out after a couple of weeks? Because if you can't get these for free, and this is only a January promotion and it is likely to run out, it's a promo card. We've seen promo cards go silly before, and this is a very, very playable one, at least for now. And it looks to be no different in OP14, and arguably more playable than he is before OP14. UP Luffy is the main deck that really abuses this. Playing him off of the Sanji is nuts. You well know that. But you also see this, of course, in Roger. Some builds of Kaido are playing the 8-cost Roger at the minute. Unsure if that's optimal or not, but some builds are experimenting with him. And broadly, this is just a very good generic purple card. I can see this being playing purple cards in purple decks over the next sets. It could also not be relevant. It's really hard to say what's going to happen with OP15 and forwards. But at least for OP14, UP Luffy looks to be one of the top decks. Maybe not like top tier, but certainly right below that, if not. As for the price in Europe is currently around £7. I actually don't think this is that bad. If you want to buy these, if you're planning on playing UP Luffy, I think this price is quite reasonable, and I'll give you one reason why. America! USA! USA! Yeah, $30 is crazy. This sucks. If you're in America, I don't know if I'd be buying at this price. I think I'd be playing a different deck, personally. But if you are set on UP Luffy, I mean, that kind of sucks. I think I would just change decks at this point. I'm not paying $120 for a playset of these. Like, I'm not interested in that personally. But if you have the money, I guess go for it. But yeah, you could maybe even look to get some shipped from like eBay from Europe, potentially, if you are an American-based player. But yeah, if you're in Europe and you think you like purple decks, I think this is quite a reasonable price. Moving on to OP14 boxes, because due to recent events, boxes are now quite hard to get. For the past, since really OP07, OP06 was the last set that had the early wave of stocking issues. From 7 to really up to including 13, but certainly up to including 12. You could just get product like so good value, or at least on release, pretty much anywhere at your LGSs. Like, I think OP09 was a little bit more expensive because it was an anniversary set, but like set 12 was a bargain. And this is retail. For those not familiar with at least UK prices, £120 is around retail for the UK. We pay significantly more than Americans at retail. It is what it is. But if you're able to get boxes at around this £110, £120 price, you're paying retail, I don't think it's that bad. However, if you are in America, and yeah, this kind of sucks. I'm going to refresh this just in case it's gone down. Wishful thinking. Yeah, $230 sucks. It's hard because everyone loves to open packs. I love to open packs, you know me. And I'm very fortunate that my LGS continues to sell under retail. Not just to me, to all the players at our LGS. We all get stock quite a bit under retail, because it's just run by a nice guy. We're very, very fortunate. But Yeah, these prices do suck. $230 for a... This isn't even a special set. Like, this isn't an anniversary set. It's got half of an EB, but I don't think I'll be buying at this price. And I do want to briefly discuss the prices of singles for this set. The pre-sale prices are always a little bit daft, but I just want to talk about theory. So in this set, there are 15 SRs. There's normally 10 SRs in a set. And we've seen the official opening video by Bandai Card Games, and the hit rates on SRs look exactly the same as a regular set, 7 per box. Now what that means is your SRs are going to be 50% more rare than a regular set, like OP12 or OP13. And I think for at least the more playable SRs, things like the 9-cost Borough especially, I think the price on these could be quite expensive. The most playable SRs in sets on release, typically, at least in EU, around £8. Katakuri was about £8. I think Mihawk was slightly less in OP12. In OP13, you had Newgate and the Elders. They're around sort of £6 to £8. I'm expecting the Boa to probably be over £10 on release, which is expensive for an SR. But you've got to consider the rarity thing, right? We saw this with PRB2, where the new PRB cards were very hard to pull, so they commanded way higher prices than you'd expect for rares and SRs. Especially bad for the rares, but I don't think that should be as big an issue in this set. But yeah, I am slightly concerned that the SRs are going to be more expensive. So if you look at a price that's like slightly more than you were expecting, don't be too surprised. I can't tell you what you think is a fair price. But yeah, just a heads up on that. Secret rares shouldn't be affected. They should be a fairly normal price, because there's only 2 of them in the set. The yellow Luffy, the big 10 cost, is going to be in our OP15 set. So I'll try and remember to mention this when we get to that. There's also no alt-art leader, so leader pull rates, I mean, they'll be slightly lower because there's 7 leaders, but not significantly so. But yeah, I'm really hoping singles for this set are not too bad. I think SR's slightly concerning just because of the increased pull rates. And alt-arts as well. There are going to be 50% more alt-arts in this set. So each individual one could be worth more, especially the good ones. SPs as well. There's 3 more SPs, although that's not as many as there were in OP13, to be fair. We'll have to see, but yeah, just don't be too surprised if you see that SRs are a little bit more expensive than you might have thought. Getting on to playable cards, Carrot. Carrot is one that's started, obviously, with the new Carrot leader, is going to start seeing a bit more play in that. She's still very popular in Bonnie. Some Mihawk lists are even playing her. So if you are someone who's planning on playing green decks this format, and I think there's at least 3 pretty solid ones, pick these up while they're just pennies. These are still pennies. The price really hasn't changed from last month. I think, again, all these PRB02 cards, if they're cheap like this, under £1, under $1, just grab yourself your playset if you can, because you never know. You never know. More green cards. Lord Beppo, his price has risen over the last month. It's gone up around £1. This is one of the very few weird cards you get where there are an ungodly amount in the UK. And then, like, there's just the UK. There's one here for £2. The cheapest one in mainland Europe is £3.50. It's wild. Like, look, this guy's got 14. This guy's got 10. Loads of these in the UK, but the EU is suffering until you get to Japan off here. The 196. Well, I don't think it's going to get much more expensive than this. £3.75. Just an inkling. But yeah, if you are in the UK, I think this is a good buy at three quid. This is obviously good in Mihawk, very, very good in Mihawk, but you also do see this in Bonnie and, of course, in Carrot. If you're green, Lord Beppo is pretty good this format. The other card from this starter deck is Kid Killer. Kid Killer, not really risen much. Obviously, this is staple in Bonnie. Some Mihawk lists are also playing the Supernova engine, which obviously involves Kid and Killer. Being able to bounce this with the 6-cost law is really cool. And it's quite weird, right? Because these are from the same damn starter deck, the Kid Killer and the Lord Beppo. Lord Beppo was all UK sellers. Kid Killer, where are they? Where are the UK sellers? This whole first page, there is none. It's so bizarre, card market, sometimes, man. It's such a good website. I really like it. But the Shishi with like the different countries is very bizarre. Germany is usually cheaper because the postage is a bastard, but yeah. Kid Killer I think is a decent buy as we go into OP14. I expect Supernova Mihawk to do well. I expect Bonnie to do well. And I don't know of any ST24 reprints coming soon. I can't imagine they would be looking to reprint this deck at all. And PRB03, who knows? Long time off yet. 6 cost Bonnie, 5 cost Bonnie. Secret one has dropped a little bit in the last month. Dropped around £1 or £2. This is currently seeing play again in Bonnie primarily. But you do also see this in Mihawk sometimes. You also see this in like the various green lore decks, GY lore, RG lore. Less so RG, more GY. But again, I think this card for around a tenner, it's not too bad. You could maybe wait off on this one. It's not staple in Mihawk. So unless you think you're going to be playing Bonnie this format, I don't think you need to buy this. I have seen Carrot Lists also playing this though. And £10 for a secret rare, really not too bad. You don't want this to become the other secret rare from the set, Kuma, who we'll talk about later. Is this the final green card? Yes, final green card is Perona. Perona's also dropped. I think this is probably just because most of the Mihawk players have bought their Peronas. Zoro has really fallen off in the Japanese results so far. I think he's underrated a little bit, but yeah, it's undeniable that Zoro is seeing much less play this set. So Perona is primarily now just a Mihawk card because I think Zonji could still be a decent rogue deck, but he is also not really showing up at the minute, although he's always been less popular, so. This is also decent in like rogue slash decks. If you can play the green slash engine in your green rogue deck, you often will because it's just quite good. Having searchable access to DMG, cards like the 8-cost Mihawk, who I actually think is still a pretty good buy. I think I've got him pulled up over here. Yeah, why is he over here? Yeah, I think this Mihawk's a great buy. This is £1. If you can get this for £1, even £2, I think this has got to see play in the future. Right? It's such a good card. It's such a good card. It's in and out of Bonnie at the minute. You don't often see this in Mihawk, which was very surprising. Yeah, but yeah, you just don't see this. His curve plays are just better. Like 7-cost Shanks into 9-cost Mihawk and then 10-cost Beppo. But I think this is a fairly solid card that could be good in the future. So I don't think this is bad if you can pick these up at £1. But anyway, back to Perona. Spoiler alert. Yeah, Perona really only in Mihawk at the minute. But I think this has good longevity in the format unless green just gets smirked by something in OP15. But yeah, Mihawk looks to have a solid package, and you never know, he could even be better next set. Who's to say? I don't think this is a bad price. If you are playing Mihawk, I wouldn't be too upset at buying these at around £3 or £4. Let's go into some purple cards. And Black Maria, this is dirt cheap. If you're planning on playing Kaido, I'm sure you've got these already. But if you don't pick these up, and again, it's a PRB02 card. If you can pick up a PRB02 card SR for like 30p, no-brainer in my opinion. You might paying the £2 to have your playset just in case. It's worth it in my opinion. This one's gone a little crazy, the Kaido. In the UK, this is up to like £10, but yeah, the market average is like £7 on this Kaido, up from £1 at the start of December. You don't need me to tell you what deck this is good in. It's Kaido. Who'd have thought? This does seem staple in the list at least 2 copies. I'm not convinced you need a playset, personally. I think 2 or 3, probably 3, will be the average point. And I do think Kaido is a little overhyped at the minute. I think the deck's good. And I think the deck is quite fun. It was very cool to see a leader that's just been shit for years. Actually people talking about him and thinking, oh, this could actually be meta relevant now. And that was very cool. But I do think the deck has some clear weaknesses. I don't think it's going to be dominating tournaments. I don't think it's top tier. If you saw my tier list, I actually had this in the 3rd tier. Calling it tier 3 feels a little harsh because, I don't know, tier 3 is usually like shit decks. But it was in my 3rd tier of solid decks. So I think if you do plan on playing Kaido casually, I expect this to go down a little bit more, but you never know. You never know. If you do plan on playing the deck, if it's your favourite leader, go for it. I also do think it's a little boring. You are very telegraphed. You're doing the same things every game. And when you don't see the 6-cost king, this deck does feel a lot weaker. So yeah, I'm personally not buying it at £6, and I'm very tempted to sell the ones I have at 10. Because I don't think I'm going to be maining the deck. But I will probably bring it to locals once, so I don't know. But yeah, that's enough on Kaido. One more purple card that I forgot to pull up, but we should probably talk about is the Ulti promo. This has gone a bit crazy in the UK. You can see I have mine listed for £7.50. But yeah, disregarding like a handful, very cheap. Market price on this is now sort of approaching £4, which for a card that was worth literal pennies for most of its lifespan is kind of wild. I'm not sure this is going to be staple in Kaido, but the effect is strong, especially if you have found the stage. This acts as a pretty good alternate to King. My advice to you is if you've got these event packs in your cupboard, which I did, because these were just worthless. Everything you could get from these was worthless. These were given out at 2 different, like, store, regional, or treasure cup style events. So, I had loads. I had like 10 of these. Some of my homies had like 10 of these. I'd open them, see if you get any ultis. And if you're planning on playing Kaido, happy days. If not, I think now's a decent time to sell these, because I doubt Kaido's getting any more buffs, given that he is rotating in April. Moving on to blue, Boa seems to have stabilised at around £7. There's no way they're reprinting this deck in the near future, or this card. So if you are planning on playing Boa, and Boa does look to be, if not the best deck, one of the best decks in this format, I would recommend picking up your Boas. Especially if you can get them locally or all off the same seller to save on your postage. This could drop by £1 or 2, but I don't see this dropping drastically through OP14. And FEMA has finally reached £1. The price has finally started to go up on this card. I've been yelling about this card for ages, and yeah, I mean, I'd have only 70-50p, or no, maybe like £2 on a playset. But yeah, if you can get these, I mean, there's still quite a lot of people actually with this dirt cheap, but they're all one-offs, right? And buying one card for 2p just feels bad because you're paying £1 on postage, so it's not really a 2p card. But yeah, if you can get these off your locals, again, just get them. You need this for Boa, you need this for Jinbei. And I doubt Boa falls off in OP15, although if Enel comes back, who's to say? Moving on to purple, Doflamingo continues to rise. He's up to around £3.50 now. Back at the end of December was about £2.53. There's still quite a few of these around. If you are planning on playing Purple Dofi, this is non-negotiable in the deck. I can't see this price changing too much in the next few weeks. I don't think it would go up too much. I don't think it would go down either, though. So if you do fancy playing Purple Dofi, I'd get your hands on some of these. And Rosie has finally dropped. I can't remember what I said about it in my last video, but this did seem overpriced at 5, given that this was typically being seen in the Japanese lists at like a couple copies. And from most of the topping lists we're seeing, even up to now, this is only being run at a couple copies. You're not seeing playsets this, because there's just not enough events in the deck. They're playing Slow Beam Sword, they're playing the Searcher event, and sometimes they're playing other events, but it's not consistent enough, and there are just other good 5 costs now. Like, we have so many targets for that 8 cost Dofi. Let's talk about Kuma. 30 quid. When this was 20 back in November, I was like, ooh, I hope this goes down a little bit more. I think it should. And then in my last video, when this was about 22, 23, that's when I said I bought the alt arts for 30. And now the regular art is 30, which kind of sucks, because this does seem pretty staple in Boa, at least for our release, because we don't have access to the Nami. So the amount of builds that you can do with this deck are just a little bit... There's less good builds, right? The Warlords build does seem like it will be the best in the West. There's a rhyme. We've got to have a rhyme in every video. But yeah, Kuma's great for that deck. It's also going to be really good if you plan on playing Yellow Luffy. That deck doesn't have access to the Robin, doesn't have access to the S-Snake from EBO3. So Kuma is going to be staple in Robin. And he's kind of staple in a lot of decks. Also, Blue Yellow Nami before EBO3. Once we get the Robin, that does hard replace Kuma in Nami. But until then, if you're planning on playing Blue Yellow Nami, you will need Kumas. I think once EBO3 approaches, this price might actually drop a bit, because that 7-cost Robin and also the 6-cost S-Snake are suitable either alternatives or replacements for this guy, depending on what deck you're playing. But if you're planning on playing Boa, you can't really use those cards, so this will still be staple in Boa, at least in the Warlords build. And I do personally think the Warlords build is going to be the best in the West. So if you are planning on playing Boa, you may have to pay the iron price, but it is what it is. Gold Roger is dropping. Not surprising. Whilst there are still blockers relevant in the OP14 format, there's just being more decks to play around makes this guy less valuable. Aces are typically running this at 1 at the minute, and I've even seen Sabo decks not even playing this, choosing to play the 7-cost Ein. Let me pull that card up, because that's really funny. I really like this card. It's always been one that I've wanted to be good, but it's just always been shit. And this isn't an expensive card, like, but yeah, this sets the. Can we zoom in? We can. It's there we go. Set the power of one of your opponent's characters to 0 for the turn, which is very funny. And this is obviously good into like Ace decks, Mihawk decks, even Purple Dofi decks if they've got some tapped stuff. This is just a pretty good effect at the minute. But going back to Roger, I'm not surprised that Roger's dropped a little bit. I think he will continue to drop a little bit as we go through OP14, just due to less relevance in the format. But he's still going to be an expensive secret. And Ace is still playing this, and Ace is still arguably the best deck in the game. Speaking of Ace, Marco continues to drop as well. I think sort of what if this hits £5, I think that's a very reasonable price for this, because this is just a good card. You also see the Blue Yellow Army on occasions as well. So I think short of an Ace like ban or something, or some ban associated with the Ace deck, I can't see this dropping below £5. But if you are someone who's planning on playing a deck with this and has put off buying Marcos because the price was really high before, I think £6 is not too bad. Like, especially if you live in Switzerland, you can get 4 off this guy. £6 each off one seller. That seems like pretty good, though. Pretty good buy. Final blue card is Red Rock. This is £2. When did this hit £2? I missed this one. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, it's really good in the format, right? Ace is obviously playing it. UP Luffy's playing it. Nami's playing it. Boa sometimes plays it, although more often not than does. That makes sense. A very good card, but remember, this is rotating. And the fact that this is rotating is if you've got a load of these, now might be a decent time to sell them if you're not planning on playing blue for OP14. Because by the time OP15 comes out, we're going to be basically right on top of rotation, if not having just gone through it. So, and I really don't expect this card to get reprinted. I think this is one of my like top 5 most hated cards. I hate this card. I've abused it. Hands up. I've abused it. Everyone's abused it. I think this card is like giga broken and should not exist. I don't think this is fair. It's so free. It's so free in so many decks, especially UP Luffy. But yeah, I don't think this will get reprinted personally. But I guess don't shoot me if it does. Although if it does, then the price will still drop because it's been reprinted. Checkmate. Brief discussion against OP13. I said this in my last one. I think pretty much every single card in this set is really affordable right now. I mean, Newgate, one of the most splashable SRs in the set. It's literally £1. That's crazy. It's only what... I mean, I guess we are most of the way through this set, but for Newgate and like the Elders, it says 86p, but you never know. I've got one listed for 150. Yeah, if you haven't got your playsets of these SRs from OP13, and this also goes for the less currently playable ones, like the Yellow Bonnie. This looks to be very good in both the Yellow Luffy deck and also in Red Yellow Bonnie potentially when that eventually comes out. So this could be a pretty good one to pick up. But generally, I think if you are someone who likes having playsets for the future, now's a brilliant time. All these rares, the Lore, the Zorro, they're all really, really cheap. Because so much of this set has been opened. Like, so much of this set has been opened. It's crazy. But these prices will slowly start to rise, I expect. And one that's already started to is Luffy. And whilst there have been broadly Luffy buyouts across the board because of recent events, I think this is somewhat due to playability as well. It's just a very generic card. A lot of rogue decks like this. Sonji likes this, Shirahoshi likes this. RG Luffy as well, which has got some pretty big buffs in OP14, really likes this card. So if you are a green enjoyer, at £10 now, this has risen. This was like £6, I think, around the time of release. Yeah, I mean, you can see back in November, you're like 7. I'm unsure if this is all playability driven or there is some element of a funny Luffy buyout here. But yeah, just a nod that this has increased quite drastically over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, OP13 broadly, I think if you haven't got your singles, there's been ones that you've been putting off, or you just like having playsets, now's a great time to buy. These are all very, very affordable. A couple of the cards that I'm going to chuck in here that I forgot about when I was recording for the first time, so you've got a couple of bonus ones. The Zoro from PRB2 is incredibly expensive at the minute, £5. This is obviously very good in the Mihawk builds, specifically the Supernova ones. The straight / Mihawk builds don't often play this, but in the Supernova builds, this is the best double searchable 2K by far. This is also reasonably good in Bonnie. It's one of the better Supernova 2Ks, although you don't always see this card. Some people do prefer to just have the Apu and the X-Drake. So this is primarily a Mihawk card, but sometimes also in Bonnie. At £5, I think £5 for a rare stinks. I never like seeing prices this high. This is unlikely to be getting reprinted other than the SP print in OP14, but like, come on, man. £5 for a rare sucks, but if you are planning on playing Supernova Mihawk, I'm not convinced this is essential. There are at least 2 other Supernova searchable and / searchable 2Ks. And yes, this guy being a blocker is nice, but this isn't like part of your core game plan. This is like an emergency. Shit, I really need a blocker. You'll do. Like the Supernova build isn't planning to play this guy out. It just sometimes comes up. So I think if you don't want to spend £20 on this Zoro, you can absolutely build Supernova Mihawk without this. And it will be like, I don't know, like 2 to 5% worse, but if that, honestly. Closer to 2% worse, I think. It doesn't come up that often that you play this guy. The other 2 searchables / Supernova 2Ks, for what it's worth, are the X-Drake that is completely useless in the deck because its effect relies on your leader being a Supernova, and the Hawkins that resounded on at the end of your turn. Very unlikely that you'll choose to play that out, but it does something as opposed to X-Drake, who is a 5/5 vanilla. So yeah, if you can get your hands on these Zoros, they are the best / searchable Supernova 2K for Mihawk, but they're not essential. And if you're just planning on playing Bonnie, you don't need this card. X-Drake and Apu are fine as your Supernova searchable 2Ks, alongside usually Tashigi. But I'm interested in trying Megalo as well. PRB02, I mentioned earlier in the video that the prices are good, and here you are, here's the prices. Most of these cards, I mean, the 5-cost Bonnie is a reasonably high play rate at the minute. And yeah, this is like nothing. 5p, 10p, market price 30p. So if you are someone who likes having playsets, all these SRs pretty much are very affordable. This Red Law, this was like, how much was this? This was like a £5, wasn't it? I swear this was like £5. Now it's down to under £1. Worth noting that this is currently seeing, I believe, literally 0 play. But it's a solid card and could be good in red decks in the future, especially red removal decks. Although the next one of those looks like Vivi, and Vivi is not playing this card. So I don't know if this card has a deck that's a home coming up. But if you like having your playsets, this is the cheapest this has been. £1 is a good price, I think, for this. Sabo's a little bit higher, but it does look like he has been steadily dropping. This is primarily a red-black Sabo card still. Emu ended up not playing this card, opting for the Shirahoshi instead. You sometimes see this in Black Croc in OP14, but again, sometimes they just play Shirahoshi instead. So you definitely don't need this card for any deck other than red-black Sabo. You don't strictly need this for red-black Sabo either, but I think it is quite important for the deck to have as an alternate dragon summon, especially. because this card becomes like a 7k blocker, which is too bad. Although the 15 in trash, that's honestly not often live, even in Red Black Sabo, because 15's a lot. That's like Croc and Emu only, but those decks, Emu just prefers Shirahoshi for returning Elders in a pinch, or just sniping cards out of Ace's hand. And Croc has good searchable, decent searchable 2Ks, and Shirahoshi is also a reasonable option in that deck. Because you can actually deck out with Croc, which is quite funny. Going back, yeah, a lot of these are dropping. The Search and Nami, the purple one, if you're planning on playing like GP, 50p for these, I think that's a really reasonable price, given some of the price of some of these other rares from the set. Otama, I can't fathom why this is still £3. Like, I've seen some people playing it in Black Yellow Moria, but that's like so off meta. Even if you're a one of the people who believes that Black Yellow Moria is actually tier 1 and people are just not sold on it, you've got to admit that it's not going to be a popular deck. It's not going to be a high play rate deck, so I don't understand why this is still £3. It's undoubtedly a good card, but I don't think this has the play rate to demand this price compared to like some of the other cards, some of the other rares in this set, like the Nami. I expect this has gone up a little bit. The Moria, yeah, he's up to around £2 trending price now. It's because of Black Yellow Moria. If you want to play this deck, you need this card. This is a 4 in the deck. It's staple. I only had it in 3 in my initial video, but it did take that one down because I don't think it was a very good showcase of the deck. And whilst I never claimed to be a great player, I don't like putting out bad videos. So on the occasion that I do put out a bad one, I will just take it down. I'm not against that. But yeah, if you can pick this up for £2 and you're planning on playing Black Yellow Moria, it's probably not dropping anytime soon drastically. I mean, look at these cheap listings. It's all Switzerland. What's going on with Switzerland? Has something changed in like the laws in Switzerland where the shipping's expensive or something? There's a lot of Switzerland here. They're not EU though, are they? No, they're not EU. They're EEA, I think. But they're not in the EU, so maybe that makes a difference for EU customers. If you're from the EU, like France or Germany or Italy or whatever, let me know. Can you buy from Switzerland efficiently? To me, because I'm obviously British, we're not in the EU or anything, so buying from Switzerland, France, Spain, it's pretty much all the same. It's only Germany that charges £1 million in postage. I have heard something going on about insured letters in the EU. Something, I think Spain, something with Spain recently. And they're saying it's rolling out everywhere. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what's going on with postage in the EU. Only important topics in the comments. my One Piece DCG videos. But anyway, yeah, I think Moria at £2 is not too bad, considering he is staple in that deck. This Bonnie is very good in Bonnie. The popular list from Fidelio that top 4'd the Tokyo CS2, I believe it was, played this at 4 copies. When I played the deck, it felt very good in the deck. Having this just to drop early on 3 or 4 Don, it felt nice because Bonnie, other than Searchers, has never really had a great play, or at least recently hasn't had a great play early. So this Bonnie, it's also just really nice that it plays around DMG inherently because it's a blocker, and then when they attack, you restand the Don. So if they just attack, you have the blocker, and if they DMG the blocker, then you still get the Don for your Bonnie leader effect. So it works out really nicely. I do think if I was playing Bonnie, I'd want 4 of this. This is not good in any other deck than Bonnie. At least I've not seen it very popular in any deck other than Bonnie. So £3 maybe a little bit overpriced, but it is what it is. If you're playing Bonnie, you're going to need these, I suspect. But yeah, most of these reprinted SRs. Shanks, currently pretty decent in Bonnie. Sees a little bit of play in Mihawk. 50p. If you want it, just snap it up. Absolute bargain. Yellow Kid, I would pick up these, even if you're not playing it right now. This is dirt cheap. This one's probably going to see more play in Yellow Luffy immediately. And then also in Blue Yellow Nami, once we get those EBO 3 cards especially, her play rate will rise. And Kid is fairly staple in that deck, excuse me. If not at 4 copies, at least usually at like 2. So I do expect Kid to potentially rise a little bit as we go on. Mr. 2 here is one that is not cheap. Yeah, Mr. 2 is still like 15 to 20 quid. Kind of sucks. You don't need this for Doflamingo, which is very nice if you're planning on playing purple Doflamingo. But if you're planning on playing any of the like older purple decks, this guy is important. This guy is also important for Foxy. I should probably check Porsche, thinking about it. Let's go off tangent. Has Porsche risen? Because this is the only SR that Foxy plays, right? No. I mean, a little bit. She's like a pound. That's fine. Keep Porsche for Foxy. But yeah, Mr. 2 is very good in Foxy. It's obviously staple in Purple Luffy. It's staple in Blue Purple Luffy. We can actually see Purple Luffy top 4 CS somewhere in Southeast Asia. Might have been Philippines. Can't remember off the top of my head. Might have been Philippines. But it top 4 to CS out there, which was kind of wild. I didn't expect that personally. I guess you just can't kill Mr. Purple. But yeah, it's good in that deck, and UP is very, very good. If you do want to play UP, you need this card. It's not really negotiable. It's very important for your ramp on curve, and it's also very important into particularly Ace. But any deck that plays big guys, this card is just insane. And I would pick this up even at this price if you're planning on playing a deck that needs it. Because I don't think we're probably, maybe ever, going to get another reprint of this guy. It would be interesting if they reprinted him again in a PRBO3. But that's a long way off anyway. So if you're planning on playing purple, it is what it is. But maybe bite the bullet. Tashigi's still got a little bit of value. But this will stay good in green decks through rotation and until, I mean, I guess till she rotates. This is the removal protection for green specifically is great because green has a ton of really good on-board effects, things like the Carrot, Cavendish, and Tashigi being just universal protection for those against all removal gives you a way higher chance of being able to use those effects. So I don't see this dropping out of Bonnie lists. You'll sometimes see this in Mihawk lists, although Mihawk lists are more hit and miss on whether you actually see this card. But in Bonnie, this is an absolute staple. And I think in green decks in the future as well, it will likely be Carrot 2. Carrot 2. Sanji's started rising a little bit, and all of these secret rares, if you can pick these up for like £3 or £4, just get your playset. Is this likely to see play in many more decks other than UP? Probably not. They have to be very specific. Marco made good use of this, and UP makes good use of this, because specifically the leader skill stacks the deck. So it makes this very, very reliable. In any deck where the leader skill does not stack the deck, it's much worse. You're kind of jumping through hoops to get this guy to fire. So if we get another blue leader in the future that directly stacks the deck, this will likely be good in that deck, whatever it is. Even Ace Gate sometimes played this, but that guy kind of sucks, I'm not going to lie. That guy kind of sucks. But yeah, Sanji will be good in any blue deck in the future that stacks the deck. Zoro has risen a little bit as well. This guy, RG Luffy is his main home at the minute. But you do also see this in Bonnie, depending on what decks they want to play. They want to tech their deck out for. If you want to be Emu with Bonnie, this guy's important. Also good in Lim. You're not seeing this a lot in Mihawk. You're not seeing this a lot in Mihawk. They're really preferring the Beppo and the 9-cost Mihawk. But if you're planning on playing Bonnie or RG Luffy, this is a very good card in those decks. What else have we got? Pudding's cheap. I don't know if we're going to get more Big Mum purple leaders in the future. But pick it if you like these cards, if you like these sort of archetypes, the purple Big Mum pirates with the Katakuri, a pound a copy. It's not too bad given what some of these PRBO2 cards have been like. This guy was atrocious on release, Kobe. And with those new Kobe cards, I do have a little bit more cope for Kobe as we approach OP14, I guess it will be for us. But yeah, I don't know how many copies of this card you'll actually play in the deck. There's a lot of competition in Kobe. But it could be good in Kobe. I don't know. £2 not too bad if you do want to cope a little bit on it. But I don't think you necessarily need a playset anymore. You're competing with Kujaku. You're competing with a new 3-cost Hibari. I think that's it. Yeah, 4-cost Kuzan's shit now. So yeah, I'm not sure you need a playset of this, but it is a good card. Any more? We'll go one more page. But yeah, broadly, if there's secrets and SRs from this set that you don't have and you think you might want, pretty much all of them are good price at the minute. Rayleigh's another one. This guy used to be so expensive. Dirt cheap now. A lot of people playing this in VV. That's obviously coming out in around a month and a couple weeks for us in the West. So if you're planning on playing Reeve, picking these up at £3 just so you have them is not too bad. This is a secret rare. Like, bear in mind, this is a secret rare and it's probably not getting reprinted again. This guy as well. I think GP's sleeper good this format. I would not be surprised to see quite a lot of GP success, and I think £5 is the cheapest this has been. Maybe it was cheaper right on the release of PRB02. The chart doesn't go back very far, but £5 for this card seems very reasonable to me. And yeah, I don't think there's too much else worth talking about. This Ace and Lord, dirt cheap. £1? Is this really £1? Yeah, this is quite a lot of these for £1, £2. That's crazy. Decent card. Not seeing playing yellow Luffy though, so I'm not sure if this... I'm not sure how much play this will see going forwards, but it's still a decent card as a secret rare. This law's good in Rosie. If you're planning on playing Rosie, you'll need these. But other than that, probably not. Yeah, just broadly, if there's SRs you don't have Ben Beckman, if you don't have 7 Sanji, and you can grab them for 10p, why would you not, right? Because you never know when a card's going to go ballistic. Finally, just a very small one. With OP15 confirmed to be Sky Island themed, this an L from EBO2, I mean, it's not locked to an L, right? It's locked to Sky Island. And whether or not we get direct NL leader buffs in this set, even if we get like a new yellow Sky Island leader, this could end up being a lot more playable next set. I don't know, this one's pure speculation, right? But this is the only card at this very early stage that jumps out to me as yeah, this is more likely than not to see synergy with some kind of Sky Island leader in that OP15 set, but we will have to see. This is not like a shoe-in, but just one I thought I'd mention, because I've been thinking about picking up my playset. Other than that, I don't think there's that much to cover this month. I'll probably have another one of these once OP14 has come out, discussing the prices of those, but I more wanted to get my thoughts on the likely increased prices of the SRs in this set. Just so that people are sort of, I don't know, less blindsided, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people will have been aware of this. There's more SRs, so the price will be higher. But just for those that haven't thought about it, just a nod to that. And yeah, we've talked about a few different playable cards. I think Roger, if you're in Europe, very decent buy at £6. If you're in America, I would not be buying at that price. I'd just play another deck personally. That seems crazy for a free promo, and I really hope your OGS's all got a bunch of those so that you can get them for free, ideally. That is what Bandai intended. I don't think they want these promos to have a lot of value. Their distribution just is sometimes lacking, which is a shame. Anyway, good luck at your OP14 pre-releases. I probably will have another one of these, like I say, in a couple of weeks once those sets are out to discuss the prices. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.